Hi there, welcome back to Camera Than Coffee. I'm one of your fellow creators on the streets who love to talk about deserving cameras. And today I'm damn excited to quickly share with you all the important specs of the new Sony a7 IV while comparing it with the most loved Sony a7 III. Cool, it's a beautiful day and without any further ado, let's begin. So the new hybrid king Sony a7 IV is finally here after a long wait of 3.5 years after the release of Sony a7 III. Starting with the thing that matters the most, the new Sony a7 IV is priced at approximately $2,500, $700 expensive than its predecessor. Now let's shed light on the image specs of the camera. Starting with the sensor, the a7 IV houses a newly developed 33 megapixel full-frame back-illuminated sensor, and this new sensor will make this beast deliver faster readout speed and less rolling shutter distortion in fast-moving images. This new sensor is definitely a good news for you if you have been looking forward to take the next step with the quality of your images or the prints, because in 16:9 ratio you will be able to capture a high quality 28 megapixel photograph, whereas in 3:2 ratio you will be able to capture super high quality 33 megapixel photographs. And what will make these images even better is the S-Cinetone picture profile on the new Sony a7 IV. Also, not to forget, a good addition in the new camera is the soft skin effect, which does play an important role. And finally, the new a7 IV can deliver images in RAW, HEIF and JPEG formats. Moving on, unlike the Bionz X image processor on Sony a7 III, the a7 IV will be powered by the latest Bionz XR image processor, which will contribute to image quality and have a better interface response. And together, the new sensor and the powerful processor will allow continuous shooting at 10 fps, both with mechanical and electronic shutter, same as the a7 III. Next up is ISO, and surprisingly, there is no change here. Both the cameras have the ISO range of 100 to 51,200, which is expandable to 2,48,000. And same is the story with shutter speed. Both the cameras share the same. Now let's talk about autofocus, where we'll see one of the main improvements done by Sony. Both the cameras share the same Sony's promising fast hybrid face detection and contrast detection autofocus, which is quick as well as accurate. But what really steps up a7 IV is the 759 face detection autofocus points that covers approximately 94% of image area, plus 425 densely positioned contrast detection points that improves the focus. And when conditions get tough, the a7 IV claims to focus down to light level of -4 eV. And when it comes to eye, face or head detection, you will see a huge upgrade in Sony a7 IV, thanks to the real-time tracking that works on humans, animals as well as birds. And cherry on the cake, it works on photos as well as videos. Wow! Now speaking of the body, the new a7 IV has a slightly bigger body than a7 III. We have a 3-inch fully articulating touchscreen with 1.36 million dots. And why not? I believe brands have realized that vlogging is here to stay and is gonna poke every creator now or later. Another thing that will put a7 IV ahead of a7 III is the highly detailed higher resolution electronic viewfinder with 3.68 million dots. And yes, just like a7 III, there is no inbuilt flash on a7 IV. But it's okay, external flash is always a better option. Next thing is the memory card slots. Now that the a7 IV has enhanced processing power, it allows the high-speed CF Express Type A cards to take a space inside the camera. Next thing to point out is the exposure compensation dial. While the a7 III has a dedicated exposure dial at the right, the a7 IV also has a dial at almost similar position that controls the exposure compensation. But it doesn't have any numbers on it, maybe because it's not a dedicated exposure compensation dial, but a multi-function dial. Next thing you will surely love on Sony a7 IV is the same menu system that we have on Sony a1 and Sony a7S III. Plus, I must share that the menu operations for which we use joystick on Sony a7 III can be done using the touch on the new Sony a7 IV. Now there is one sad area in the new Sony a7 IV, and that's the battery. Both the cameras house the same internally chargeable battery, but when it comes to battery capacity, it looks like that the Sony a7 III is better than the new camera, whether it is for stills or for videos. And just like the Sony a7 III, the new camera is not really weather sealed, but it does have water and dust resistance. And yes, both the cameras have the same E-mount. And now my favorite part, the video specs. And I'm really happy that we don't have a crop factor in 4K 30 in the new camera. But you'll do get 1.5 times crop if you're recording in 4K up to 60 frames. And when it comes to Full HD recording, both the cameras can record up to 120 frames per second. And yes, another good news, there is no recording limit in the new camera. Speaking of external recording, now you can record 10-bit 4K videos up to 60 frames in the new Sony a7 IV. And just like photographs, you do get S-Cinetone in video as well. Another area that will put a7 IV ahead of a7 III is the live streaming. Now you can do live streaming in 4K up to 15p and Full HD up to 60p. And not just that, the camera also offers simultaneous internal recording for your live streaming. And when we look at the stabilization, there is not a big upgrade as compared to Sony a7 III. However, it does record gyro metadata, which will help you gain some stabilization in post-production. And last but not the least, the ports, where we do see some upgrades in USB and HDMI. That's it for now. Do let me know what you think about Sony a7 IV. Thank you so much for stopping by, and if the video was helpful, do support me by subscribing. See you in the next video.